So today okay, thank you. So today we will be discussing the topic of capacity strengthening and localization, and particularly we will be touching upon the role of core humanitarian standards, due diligence, and how localization agenda is affecting altogether this notion of capacity strengthening. And to have a blended approach, we are having two excellent presenters. One is having a solid experience from the field, from Nepal, as Executive Director, Clean Up Nepal, Mr. Rabindra ji. He's the Executive Director for Clean Up Nepal, and he has been working for the sector over the last more than 16 years, worked in various areas, particularly in WASH, local government, and overall project management, and having a rich experience from Nepal around capacity strengthening. He will be sharing some of the dimensions from their work. And similarly, we have another excellent colleague from People in Need, Anya. She has been as a partnership technical lead, and she's based in Ukraine and has been with PIN for a couple of years. And prior to PIN, she has worked again in the Ukraine's context around civil society strengthening, partnership management, and development. Both of the speakers, they will be introducing themselves more in their respective session. So basically, just to set the tone, this is kind of a introductory exploratory webinar. So we are collectively learning about this topic. So the way we have structured this webinar, so we will be sharing some backgrounds, setting the context, and then we will be having example from Ukraine's work, then similarly from Nepal's reflection, then we will have summary, and then we will talk about the way forward, like what we will be doing next. So this is in a nutshell our focus for today's webinar. And uh, in terms of oh, this is a wrong one. So in terms of the localization agendas, like people in need, we have a focus on six partnership principles. We have been in our previous presentation, we have been talking around our partnership principles, three pillars, and why we focus on partnership principles, because they are rooted on localization agenda, and the way each partnership principles is focusing. And similarly, our work is also rooted on core humanitarian standards, so they are in a way quite interlinked. So this is a theoretical genesis of our work. And lately, like what we have been suggesting and promoting our partner organization for integrating CHS work into their organizational work, even if it is in the development context or in a humanitarian context, because they are interlinked in a way. So in terms of like focusing why CHS is more relevant, if we see there are three stream of CHS assessment or CHS verification. One is self-assessment, independent verification, certification. So even many INGOs, they have done the self-assessment. Even for local NGOs or national NGOs, it will be good if they go through the self-assessment process, because then it will equip them with the upcoming due diligence processes of various organizations. Um, Generally, many organizations, they do go through different due diligence or partnership assessment, depending how the organization is uh, working and functioning and which kind of requirement it has. But for a local NGO, it becomes quite challenging to like meet all the expectation of different stakeholders and partners. So in case of having a CHS assessment or CHS verification, it makes life a bit easy. At least the other organization, donor, and partners, they have this comfort. Okay, they have a good system in place because the way CHS assessment process is rigorous, it's quite credible in that regard. So this is some kind of a introductory context setting. With uh, that, I will, in case if there is any reflection, any question from any colleague, please feel free to raise it. You can write it in the chat box or you can speak up. Otherwise, I will hand over to Anya for experience sharing from Ukraine's example.
Hello, thanks a lot, Anwar. Can you hear me?
Yeah, Anya, we can hear you loud and clear. There was some miscorrection in the structure of the presentation. So your first presentation is this one. Then
Okay,
after it,
thanks.
you can run it. Yeah. And you can run the sessions now.
Indeed, I'm honored today to talk about our partnerships approach and strategy in Ukraine. We have changed our policy towards partnerships because of the start of full-scale invasion, Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine last year, and due to the large-scale nature of this invasion, we as a small organization back then had to rely on local organizations because Ukraine is a large country, and we had to very quickly build new partnerships with local organizations to get access to various locations across the country. So over the year, we managed to establish more than 200 partnerships. Not all of them are active at this moment. Moreover, not all of these partnerships can be considered as official or strategic, since we conducted due diligence only for 80 of this from this portfolio for 80 organizations. It is connected with the fact that we wanted to focus more on specific geographic locations and other priorities in terms of needs and sectors of work. And over the year, over like more than a year, we conducted more than 40 learning modules, focusing on a variety of topics that include humanitarian ethics, the principles of work in the humanitarian sphere, but also some topics that relate to project management and the whole cycle of running a project. More than 200 participants were targeted by this capacity building program, and every second vetted partner took part in these activities. Just a moment. Yes, when it comes to our approaches to capacity building, we try to proceed in the spirit of localization. And on the one hand, we understand that core humanitarian principles should be prioritized by our capacity building program. Since many organizations in Ukraine that started to, in fact, work as humanitarians didn't possess necessary knowledge and understanding of the work in the humanitarian sphere, and our mandate was to share this knowledge with them. So on the one hand, there is a set of obligatory topics such as GBV, PSA policy. And on the other hand, there are topics that are chosen by partners since they believe that they have certain gaps. And thus we try to meaningfully balance between what organizations need and self-identify, and what organizations have to receive, get as knowledge. We also introduced a mechanism to collect information on how our partners perceive us as a partner. And this is a very useful source of information for us to inform our policies and approaches. And we also collect, so there is a dedicated mechanism like a hotline, which is used for general requests, but we also collect information on like negative or positive feedback, how partners consider PIN as a partner, and we also have a dedicated email for such cases. The mainstream duty of care is also part of our localization commitments and of our capacity building program. Thanks to one of our donors, SDC, we have secured around 300 personal protection kits for those organizations that work in the frontline areas, and these kits include bulletproof vests, helmets, first aid kits, tourniquets, and other things that help to bring more security into the routine of these organizations. We do conduct learning needs assessment, and for PIN Ukraine, it's a source of information on how we need to shape or reshape our capacity building program. We conduct such assessments quite regularly, and this also helps us to understand what kind of gaps we identify, and how we can secure some funds for upcoming programs. As I've mentioned, we have obligatory modules. First of all, in those related to humanitarian sphere and the work in the humanitarian sphere, but also modules that are crucial for everyday's work in Ukraine, on security, contingency planning, meal, financial policies, procurement procedures. The latter policies are requested because we also need to report to our donors, and we would like to have documentation from our partners in order and well filled out and processed. So that's why we ask our partners to visit respective modules. We have revealed that in Ukraine the offline format is very much requested, and this is because of blackouts we had, and because sometimes it's more practical to invite people, like to get everyone in a one space, normally in a bomb shelter, and provide sufficient level of security, and usually we conduct such events for 2-3 days. And this offline format shows that people want to have more networking and want to meet with each other, and also there is a request to somehow be out of field work for at least a couple of days, and we really happy to provide this opportunity to network, to to familiarize themselves with new topics and discuss some, in many cases, concerns and challenges of the work of our partners. One of the formats of our work is mentoring. We have a very pleasant and constructive experience of mentoring provided by our consultant in WASH sector. We also would like to expand this program, but there are difficulties in recruiting people. But we will try to find other experts for our partners to benefit from the mentoring program. Why do we focus on capacity strengthening? So what's the added value? Well, we see this as we see capacity building as our obligation in terms of duty of care and our accountability before the affected population. We would like our partners to know, understand, endorse do not harm principle, protection mainstreaming principles, and core humanitarian principles. On the other hand, we also want to ensure that our partners understand how to work in the fragile security situations, and that's why our obligation again is to introduce modules in security training and contingency planning. Our accountability before our donors. So we would like to see all the documents, reports, and distribution lists and other documentation well processed and duly filled out, so that we can also be accountable before our donors and show that we can manage such a large portfolio of partners. Of course, capacity building is seen as a way to empower partners and share with them skills and knowledge, in particular in advocacy. We also see a PIN as a medium or enabler to open to ease access for local organizations to other partners, to larger organizations, and to NGOs. There was a question: who is capacitating who? And there could be two perspectives. At least two perspectives. We believe that local organizations capacitate international organizations, humanitarian agencies, because we really benefit from local expertise and knowledge of specific political, social, humanitarian context. Local organizations help to establish links with local governments and private sector, introduce new approaches and programs, so during the co-implementation of programs, we learn a lot from local organizations. Meanwhile, we also strengthen capacities of local organizations by conducting tailored trainings and mentoring and implementation of mentoring programs, introducing feedback mechanisms like that one I've mentioned. And also in course of our everyday communication, we try to share some best practices or some knowledge or expertise we have with our partners. What are the tools for capacity building? We collect, we implement capacity building programs by conducting online and offline learning sessions, by providing mentoring, coaching. There is also a platform being runs, Civil Society Now, and we try to popularize this opportunity among our partners so that they can go to the website and see the variety of materials related to humanitarian topics, but also to project management. Partnership is also seen as a tool to implement capacity building activities, because we during the partnership we spend a lot of time together. We co-implement activities. We usually go to the affected communities together, and thus we also like mutually capacitate. So we share knowledge and skills with each other. So it's the mutual process. There was also a question mentioned at the very beginning by Anwar regarding the difference between self-assessment and due diligence and duration of assessment. Let me just briefly talk about this. So we have due diligence process that includes self-assessment, but we also have watchdog checks, references check, and documents check conducted by our team. So it's not only about self-assessment procedure. We have two types of assessment. One is a comprehensive assessment that is usually applied in cases when we enter in really a long-term and donor-driven, large donor-driven projects, and such assessment can last several weeks. And because of the escalation of the war, we introduced the simplified assessment, and this is called emergency partner assessment tool. To implement, to conduct such an assessment, you would need several days. And from our side, as SPIN, we do our best to speed up all the processes so that new partners can quickly accomplish all the procedures and can start their activities. Thank you for your attention.
So, colleagues, in case if you have any question, any reflection on Anya's presentation, please do share it. You can write it in the chat box, or you can raise your hand or speak up, whatever way you feel comfortable. And again, like it's a collective learning journey, so it will be good if you can ask as many questions as possible, so at least we are clear and we have meaningful discussion. So in case if you don't have any question immediately, maybe what we can do later on, if you have, you can write it in the chat box, and meanwhile we can ask Rabindra ji to share his presentation, and after his presentation, then maybe we can have collective questions on both the presentation, if that's fine. Okay.
There is a
There is,
question whether we can
yeah,
share a learning
yeah.
assessment form. Yeah, I can do that in the chat right now.
Okay, that will be great. So anyone else, if you have any question, any reflection, please feel free. Um, since like it is it's more interactive session. So meanwhile, otherwise Ania will be with us. So then after the Rabindra's presentation, maybe we can have some more questions for her. So over to Rabindra ji. Rabindra, in case if you want to introduce yourself and if you want to run slides by yourself, that will be good. Otherwise, I can run them.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for this opportunity, especially to people in need and CSN. I am Rabindra Lamichhane. I am working as a executive director in Clean Up Nepal. I have been working in social development sector since 16 years. Yeah, today my presentation is based on my experience as well as the experience of my organization. First, what types of organization in Nepal basically they do for the social development and their role in the in that Nepal for implementing different aspects of social development. NGOs obviously they play their very important role in various sectors, including the capacity building, strengthening, and implementation of core humanitarian standards. And in Nepal, after earthquake, many organizations they work for the they are the humanitarian work. That was one of the very good example. They support to the peoples of Nepal after earthquake. Same as also the emphasis on the importance of due diligence and localization in their operation too. So what types of role basically in the organization in Nepal, and we call the non-government organization, humanitarian aid and assistance, because I have already mentioned that after earthquake, there are the humanitarian assistance in Nepal, mainly to the people of the earthquake affected districts in Nepal. And uh, uh, you know that the Nepal is already faced the 1 decade of the conflict arm. Due to that, there are the situation of human right and social justice was very very difficult after the many organizations they advocating for the human right and social justice. And now the Nepal they have developed the constitution which secured the social justice and even the human right of the people. And now we are in very stable situation right now. Same as the healthcare services and medical support the organization they're providing in the remote areas of Nepal. Mainly they develop their projects and support to the people of Nepal to make their access on the adequate health services. And the organization they are also working for the education sector, mainly empowering the vulnerable people, educating them. And another one is the disaster relief. Now, due to the disaster risk reduction, the organization are focusing on DRR concept. And throughout that disaster, the many people they are suffering from the their lives. They that require support for the mitigation approaches for the DRR. So the organization also focus on that. Another one is the environmental conservation and the sustainable development. Mainly such types of initiation are also doing by the organization like as Clean Up Nepal. We target to the waste management, environmental sector. So such types of development approach the organization are going on right now in Nepal. Another one is the waste sector. Mainly, Nepal is already declared open defecation free, but the organization of Nepal's they're targeting that program to make the access of water among the people, to increase the sanitation situation, even to increase the hygiene sector, hygiene facilities of the people. So another one is the poverty. Poverty is one of the very relevant issues to the Nepal, and the economic development, economic empowerment. For that, the many livelihood approaches, kinds of activities the organization they developed and implemented in the Nepal, which are really supporting to combating poverty. Another one is um, right of the women, gender equality situation, disability, all those kinds of things. This is the burning issues in Nepal, and most of the organizations, even the constitution of Nepal, secure the right of the women as well as the social inclusion issues. So many organizations they're working for the JC mainstreaming to their work as well as to advocating for ensuring the right of the JC. Another one is the education, to promoting education, quality education for the children. Yeah, such types of initiation are doing by the organization in Nepal. Another one is the research and policies, advocacy kinds of things which influence the positive change, even the level of government. And the government also try to do that mitigating all those feedback from that organization who are working for research and advocacy, and they bring the data that the evidence-based advocacy practices are in Nepal. The organization are also working on, and there are so on other approaches also the organization are working on. And in my presentation, basically the capacity building of the NGOs, mainly the organization I'm working for. Another one is the capacity building of the employees, how we are targeting to enhance the capacity of the staff. Another one is the capacity building of the communities to whom we are working for. There is another aspect, capacity building of the stakeholders to whom we are working together. And another one is the due diligence and localization. These six mainly slides I have. Another one is the capacity building of the NGOs. While the Clean Up Nepal is one of the youth-based organizations, we are working for environmental sector, waste management, water and sanitation approach, DRR. These are the more the thematic area of the organization. But for for effective and efficient manner to implement all those thematic areas, we require that different types of the capacity that organization need to manage. For example, the financial management. Under the financial management, we have to follow the adequate the documentation system to adhere the policies and to meet the audited compliances like that. So the better planning system we need, and the implementation approach should be very strengthened, and monitoring, evaluation, and the governance. These are the very important requirement for the organizations. For that, the organization try to that in conduct the training and workshop to enhance the skill of the organization. Another one is the effective strategy, which supporting to increase the fund and resources that we mobilized to bring the larger impact on the people of Nepal, so that the organization is always looking for the best that strategy we developed. It is basically we tie up with the what approaches, what that the thematic area we have, and what cross-cutting areas we are working for. Though based on that, the integration of that thematic area and cross-cutting issues, we developed our strategy, and that strategy we work for that to achieving the larger impact. Another one is the monitoring and evaluation system that we have to bring the impact and the effectiveness. For example, in the organization, we are in the monitoring system. We have three basic the pillar. One is the quality level of monitoring, another one is the progress level of monitoring, another one is the impact level of monitoring. That three different parts. For example, if we are conducting one event training, then we do the progress level of monitoring. Immediately we do the small kind of question card. We ask to the participant how they are get that training effectively or not, and we do the pre and post test for the initial level and after accomplishing the event. So these are the progress level of monitoring we are doing. Another one is the quality level of monitoring. We have different we rely on the logical framework. Under that logical framework, we have different output. That output we are basically try to find out what the progress is going on the life of peoples and their communities. So under that, the progress monitoring, we are more targeting to the output level of the achievement, and another one the impact level. On the impact level, that the project we are doing, we have the outcome and we have the goal. So are we in line with goal, or are we in line with outcome or not? So we do the different types of assessment to find out the result. So it is based on the impact level monitoring. So monitoring and evaluation tracking system is very effective in cleanup Nepal. Another one is we encourage partnership, collaboration with NGOs, government, and stakeholders, because we believe in collaboration matters. Because without collaboration, we cannot bring the larger impact, or we cannot in line with achieving our goal. So that we have Safa Nepal mobile application, the dashboard. This is one of the very good system we have developed to manage the waste management system. So waste management is the primary role to lead by the local level government in Nepal. So while we implementing our Safa Nepal mobile application, we have to do that frequency level of coordination with local government. So we do the coordination with local government. We give them the importance of that Safa Nepal, how Safa Nepal can bring larger impact in the sector of waste management. So that's why the strong coordination is required with the government, and the government, they utilize that application in their system, and they promote that, they launch that Safa Nepal mobile application. So these are the things. Sorry.
So where
will you
is
please?
Rabindra, please proceed. I will request colleagues who are not speaking if they can mute their mic. Please go ahead, Rabindra.
Yeah, thank you. Another one is the organization that I have already told on that, the project design and proposal writing and reporting. That three part is very important for our organization. We developed our project based on theory of change, and one is the logical framework we developed, and for that the CSN platform, which is very much effective for our organization. We got lots of information, lot of resources from the CSN platform. There are the different the template and format already in place in that CSN platform. So we get that template and formats that we used for our organization benefit. Another one is there is the sharing and knowledge, learning opportunities among the relevant stakeholders that we work for. So the organization is always try to conduct the coordination meeting between the organization. We are working on the same agendas, and in the semi-annual basis, we conduct organizational capacity assessment. And one is the SWOT means the strength, weakness, opportunity, and threat. That is the document which support us to where we are and what requires to improve the organization capacity. So we developed action plan, and we all team move forward to mitigate all those gap of the organization. So slowly we are that tackle to increase our the capacity based on that organization capacity assessment and SWOT analysis. Another one is we always promote accountability, transparency, and governance practices within organization, and even to whom we are working for. For example, in the organization, there is the accountability. For the accountability, we are accountable towards our community people, towards government, towards our donor organization. So we share everything to the community to whom we are working for, same as to the local government and other. So these are the things which make us. It will develop our belief towards the people, towards the government, towards the donors. So they believe us. So because of this, another one, the transparency. We have internal control mechanism system in the organization. We have compliance-based the documentation system. We have more than 15 policies in the organization. All those policies who bond our relation with the staff, between staff and the organization, as well as organization with the our donor organization with the local government and the people. So these are another thing. And good governance, obviously the organization is always moving ahead for the good governance. Everything's the transparency manner we are working, and we have the chain of command. Even we have the good organogram in the organization, which really we followed based on that organogram. Another one is we have policies we developed. Even there is very good example from the CSN platform. I think in March we developed more than 14 policies along with by revision that policies. While we preparing that policies, we get the references from CSN platform because that platform, under that platform, there are too many unit formats and the policies already in place. So that was one of the very good example we get, and that was one of the very good example for unit to accumulate all those things in our policies. And the organization always keep the environment to the staffs because we believe on teamwork. We cannot just simply we cannot move ahead with the decision of one people. We always go ahead with the team building and team tuning environment. We always try to develop in the organization. And for the capacity building of the employee of the Clean Up Nepal, there are the training programs in that, even the advocacy lobby techniques, how we develop the staff's capacity based on advocacy lobby, because we are working on environment, we are working on the waste management approaches. So we always think on that. If we have the better technique on lobby, if we have better skill on advocacy campaign, then we can run our the project very effectively, so that the organization always conduct training programs to the staffs. Another one is the organization promote on the project cycle management. Under that, the project management, monitoring, evaluation, and the strategic planning. That will strengthen the capacity of the staffs. So we always give that opportunity to the staff. And one in the interpersonal skill and effective communication, that we always looking forward to enhance the capacity of the staffs. Another one is we providing the mentorship and coaching opportunities to the staff members, and which support to develop their professional career as well as professional knowledge. Such that there are we are always looking forward to the opportunities. What organization, if there are some same organization they are working for environmental sector, if they are working for waste management, then we always give the opportunity to our staffs to engage such types of the works of conference and training program, which may obviously enhance the skill of our staffs. And another one is we have the learning session. That every Friday. Friday is our learning day in Clean Up Nepal, and we share different the capacity which support to develop the capacity of the staffs. The staff, they share their learning, what they are learning, and if those staffs they have one good approaches, if they have one very good skill on training either other component, then they can lead that session and provide very good knowledge to the other staff too. So such types of things in organization. Another one is cross-functional project. We engage our staff to, if for example, if one staff is particularly assigned for one project, then sometimes we really give the opportunities to that little bit support to other project as well, because throughout this the staff will gain different types of knowledges. For example, if the staff is basically assigned for one campaign, but they do not have the knowledge of Safa Nepal mobile application, then we give literally to enhance the capacity of that staff on Safa Nepal mobile application too. Like as we give the opportunity to the staff to that looking forward for getting knowledge from the other project as well with their engagement. And we always that I have already said, like the organization is believe on teamwork. That's why the organization always encourage team member to develop their leadership skill equally, and we guidance in their professional development too. This is the capacity building of the community to whom we are working for.
Rabindra, since like you are having quite good and rich content, I was just wondering if anyone has any question, any reflection so far, like what you have presented, or any question for Anya. At least there was one comment from Janet, like the notion of capacity building is still broadly used. I assume there will be a strong shift towards a different wording like capacity exchange, enhancement, strengthening. Similarly, there was one more comment in the spirit of mutual learning, the capacity exchange would fit better. So again, if any colleague has any immediate question, or should we continue with Ravindra's remaining slide, and then we can open the floor for question answer or discussion. So I just wanted to check in case if anyone has any burning question for Ravindra.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, but the term capacity building, I use the border one. Yeah, especially under the capacity building. For example, we give the orientation regarding how we can handle the Safa Nepal mobile application. This is one of the very good example that we enhance the skill of the staffs. They get that the knowledge and they strengthen their knowledge on Safa Nepal mobile application, and they able to that facilitate other people to that increase the use of Safa Nepal at other places also, because Safa Nepal is one of the accountability kinds of that the tools which can strengthen the relation between local people as well as the government. So another one is the leadership skill. Yeah, because we are always try to enhance the skill of the staff, mainly on the leadership approaches. So while we providing the skill to the staffs, then we give the how they can develop their leadership. So the training moreover based on the leadership. And there are other training also. For example, if we are conducting some capacity building training, mainly on the campaign for cleanup events like that. So such types of event they participated. Another one is we have the farmer software. And the farmer software is basically for the that utilization of capturing all those vouchers and financial transition system. So we give the capacity enhancement of our finance staff on the farmers software. Like that, we try to that enhance the capacity of our staff throughout the different aspect of the capacity building trainings. Another one is while we formulate or reformulate local groups, and we always try to engage them in the local issues to address the local issues and engage them for the sustainable development initiative. For example, while we emphasize on Safa Nepal mobile application, we always try to formulate one group we called municipal level waste management coordination committee, because the local government, they always try to solve out the issues of waste management by themselves, only by themselves. The private sector, they are trying to find mitigate the issues of waste management by themselves, not with in the collaborative approaches. Even the community people, they always blaming to the government and the private waste collection companies, they are not doing well. So we are trying to bring them together throughout that coordination committee. So such types of coordination committee will support to build up the collaboration approach for the management of waste. So that's why it will be the long run the solution to mitigate the waste management issues. Another one is we conduct training and workshop for the community people. For example, based on waste management environment sector, while we do cleanup event, we target the volunteers and the community people who engaged in the waste cleanup event. We do the one orientation like that. Do not mix up all those waste what we collect, because we give them different types of bag. One bag for the organic waste, one bag for the non-organic waste. Under the non-organic, there is the metal waste, and there is the plastic pet waste, there is the wrapper waste. So throughout like that, we give the orientation to the people, and they will you have to collect all those waste in different bags, sacks, and even we do the waste audit. What number of waste we collected throughout that cleanup event. This is another example we work with the community. Another one is we give the orientation to the community people regarding segregation of waste. Another one is the recycling approaches. There are the three R concept: reduce, reuse, and recycle. Another one is the composting. Yeah, there are the three different types of capacity building trainings orientation we conducted with the community people, and they practices all those in their home, and they segregate waste at source at home. So this is one of the very good example. We have bring the change at community mainly in the sector of waste management. Another one is we also monitoring the recycling center at different places because with the community people, because to increase the level of knowledge of that people. Because while we're talking about 3R or do the recycling of the plastic waste, so during that time they are not believing on that. That's why sometimes we do the exposure visit of the community people in different places where they are doing this recycling center. They recycling plastic waste, and they developed pallet or other product of the plastic. So throughout like that, the local people, they convince on that, and we try to connect the local people with the government agencies, local business association, and other for the entrepreneurship development. Another one is circular economy. The organization always believe on income generating activities. That's why we give the orientation training to the people and to make their engagement for the management of plastic waste, composting, which may support them to establish entrepreneurship and to develop their circular economy. And another one is we always promote sustainable environmental practices and natural resource management. That's why we conduct cleanup event. Even yesterday, World Environment Day, we do the plantation program. We do the cleanup event. Yeah, throughout that we engage many people in the event. Yeah, like that we always encourage people. Even they increase their knowledge throughout by doing such types of that cleanup event, and even the participating throughout that event. Yeah, and for the right of the and the need of the community people, we do the coordination, we do the advocacy with the local, provincial, and federal government. These are the some policy dialogues we do to strengthen their policies at local level on waste management and environmental sector to provide that the better service for the community people. So these are the things we are doing with the local government right now. And another one is evaluation and monitoring of the that the project we do at the community level with the involvement of the community. We cannot just solely do the monitoring and evaluation. We do the monitoring and evaluation with community people, what changes we are bringing here. Yeah, and also we established complaints registration mechanism that I have already talked about. Safa NEPAL, the Safa NEPAL have the complaints that the complaint mechanism. If some people show that waste dumping a nearby road or at their home, or in that the open burning practices nearby community, surrounding community, then the people, they can pick their mobile and they can take a photo, picture, video, and they can post throughout that Safa NEPAL mobile application. They can complain, and the local government, they reach easily that complaints, and they can try to mitigate that issues. Yeah, throughout this one, we are also trying to build the capacity of the local community people. And another one is the capacity building of the stakeholder. Yes, we engage for the capacity strengthening initiative jointly. Another one is collaborate to identify and mobilize capacity building needs, because I already told that collaboration matters. Another one is we facilitate training programs which may support to enhance the community member skill and knowledge. This is not because of only throughout the change because of Clean Up Nepal. We always try to work together with different like-minded organization, relevant organization, and we do collaborative, integrated types of work. And we always provide support on resources to the community-based organization, because we work with local groups and other clubs and women-led business entrepreneurs, and to whom we work, and we provided resources like that, how we can strengthen their capacity on registration process, on the banking supporting process, and to increase their capacity to develop the better relation with the local government, and how they can that they acquired support from the local government, because local government have different resources. So the people from that CBOs, and they can develop their small project, a small proposal, and they submit to the local government, and they can get support from that one also. So these are the work we are doing here. And another one is we always promote networking and knowledge sharing platform for the communities to learn from each others, because what work we are doing at the local level, we share that all those good practices with our like-minded organization, even they share with us. So throughout like that, they promote Safa Nepal application, and we promote their initiative and their program at the local level. So such types of things we can do that to increase the knowledge of the community people as well. And integration among the initiation, as I have already told yesterday, at the World Environment Day, there were not only the event of Clean Up Nepal, more than 5 to 6 organizations we jointly did that event of Clean Up Nepal at the one place of Nepal. So such as we integrated our initiation, and another one, the collaborative initiative for the development, sustainable development, and resilience within the communities, because we always believe on the sustainable development. For that, we work with collaboratively, work with local organization, and it will support to reduce the duplication also. Also support to bring the sustainable development. And another one is we always promote inclusive decision-making processes within the communities, while we formulate different groups and people to working with Clean Up Nepal. We always give emphasis on mainstreaming of social inclusion, gender equality, same as their meaningful participation, their voice. We give priority to their voice, to their decisions. So it will always support for the inclusive decision-making processes. And we always encourage for the partnership between communities and other relevant stakeholders, because while we working with the community people, and we always try to build up the relation with their the relation of local the people with other organizations too. For example, we are trying to support one recycling center at Godavari municipality. But the local people, they have the problem of the land for the lease. So we are trying to connect them with the Godavari municipality. So the government, they will support to that strengthen the issues of to mitigate the issues of land in lease. Yeah. Another one is the due diligence. As you know that due diligence is a very important aspect of NGO operation in Nepal. Clean Up Nepal has compliance mitigation guideline. I have already talked about, there are more than 15 policies we have: anti-corruption policy, conflict of interest policy, fraud investigation policy, whistleblowing policy, and so on. That policy is always driven us for the good governance and our effective implementation of the project, and that policies make the organization accountable. So another one is the organization is always do the assessment based on the need of the people, and we develop that assessment, and we find out the result, and based on that result we target our project to that needy people. Another one, the risk analysis, always while we developing proposal, while we conducting any project at any areas. So we do the risk assessment, what types of risks and what will be the mitigation approaches to solve that risks. Another one is that we always ensure to mitigate the compliance with legal and ethical standards, because we have compliance mitigation guideline. We have Social Welfare Council in Nepal. They have their different protocols, and the organization, the duties of the organization is to adherently follow that protocol of the organization, the Social Welfare Council, so that we always that legally bound with the other like-minded relevant stakeholder. Another one is Clean Up Nepal prioritize due diligence, mainly to mitigate risks. We have the policies. We are always that different entities in the organization. For example, we have procurement committee, but the executive director is not the member of that procurement committee, because the executive director is the different and the procurement committee is the different. The procurement committee have the right to decide for the appropriate and the very good one, the vendor. But the executive director have the right to ensure if the process is going in line with the procurement policy or not, for example. Yeah, that's why we are always try to mitigate the risks. Even we prevent corruption. We are very sincere on that. We give the instruction to the finance to check every bill we got from the field, even from the central level. So the finance department have the right to investigate by themselves to find out is there any corruption or not. So like that, we are very sincere on such topics. Another one is we maintain trust of the donor. We always do the better coordination with the donors, partners, and beneficiaries. We develop the report. We sharing, even we take the approval on IEC materials from the donors, even the content. So it will equally engage the donor in our activities and our ongoing practices. Yeah? And we manage resource efficiently, because yesterday we have one World Environment Day. We are not investing all the whatever expenses they required for to conduct World Environment Day. We give the that sharing basis, cost sharing basis approaches, and we take the part of one expenses. There are other organizations, they took other part to accomplish that event. That's why we manage resources very efficiently. And we always ensure the sustainability of our intervention. For example, if we conduct one event, we always try to make the engagement of local government, because the local government is the one who has to know what initiations are doing by the organization and who are benefited from what. So based on that, the local government always knowing on the process, about the activities, about the beneficiaries, and later on the beneficiaries, they can do the better coordination with the local government to strengthen their further business or waste management practices like that. And so such types of intervention we are always trying to do in the organization. And for the localization, for the Clean Up Nepal, this is another very key principle, the localization term. So we active engagement and leadership of the local actor, including communities, civil society organization, and local government bodies, because we make the active engagement of them and the leadership of the local actors also. So this will support to that localize the approaches we are doing at the local level. For example, I have already said like that we always try to ensure that the involvement of local level government in our activities at field level, which always support to that develop the better relation with local government as well. The local government are the one who know about what initiation are going on at the field level. So it will support always to bring the better result, and always try to develop a good coordination mechanism with community people and the local government and the organization. Another one is we build local capacities, because once we provide training, then it will obviously increase the capacity of the people. For example, I have already told the segregation of waste, the recycling approach, and the composting. So they utilize that skill on their behavior, daily behaviors. Yeah? So it will make their community clean. It will support to bring generate the waste, generate the resources from the waste. Another one is we promote ownership. For example, we have developed, we supported one composting machine in Tulsipur metropolitan city. There is not only the support from the organization, the local government itself, they constructed the infrastructures and they mobilize the one human resources, but the organization, they provide the machine. So throughout this, we promote the joint collaboration, which always ensure the ownership from the local level. Also, we're considering cultural norms, beliefs, and practices in program and design the communication also. So, because we cannot just avoid or we cannot ignore the whatever practices at local level, and we cannot just go beyond with that. Might be there is the religious kinds of belief among the people, but it might be not affecting the not creating the discrimination among the people. Also, we use local languages. For example, we developed IEC material in Maithili language. Sometimes we developed our the zero waste at school tools on Newari language, even in English, even in Nepali language. We always target to the what types of target beneficiaries we have and what are their the confidence language they can able to speak. So based on that, we developed IEC material on that local languages. Another one is contribute to the long-term resilience and self-resilience approaches. We always try to build up and to targeting community people to enhance their skill, their capacity. Thank you.
So in case if anyone has any question, comment or query or further pointer for discussion, please feel free to raise it to Rabindra or Anya, whoever you feel. And at least in the chat box, I don't see any raise hand. So please don't be shy. You can ask the question. The floor is yours. And it's for our collective, though, like both the presentations, they were quite detailed, quite elaborated, and I hope these were useful. Okay, Vasan from Erbil is saying like it was good and clear, so thank you. Yeah, because I think like both the presentation, they were in a way quite nice in the way they elaborated the interlinkages between CHS localization and capacity strengthening. They were quite nice. And in the chat box, I had, building on Janet's earlier question, I had shared a kind of a trajectory, like how the wordings, the notion of capacity building, organizational development, or institutional strengthening, or capacity strengthening has been changing over the decades. So that was just for the sake of reference purpose. So in case if colleagues they have any question, any comment, please feel free to raise your hand or speak up. If uh, meanwhile, in case if you are thinking of having any question, meanwhile I'll just quickly run you like just to summarize it. Why do we have the assessment or due diligence? So like there are various pointers. So in general, like whatever the organization, the kind of the partnership principles they have, so it's basically applying those principles, better understanding to avoid ambiguity or clarify the ambiguities, and have open and honest discussion, uh, clarity of expectations. So at least we have a bit meaningful uh, expectation, and we have a mutual respect, trust, and build that trust. And also, like we identify areas of mutual uh, growth or mutual improvement, and we use our good judgment, and then there are other pointers as well for the purpose of the assessment. So in general, like this whole process of assessment and partnership assessment or due diligence or appraisal or reviews, depending who is using which kind of term, they ultimately they they strengthen the partnership building process and enrich our program delivery, and having a lasting impact. So in general, like that's what they contribute and what Rabindra and Anya was presenting. So if we theoretically, if we can summarize it, they are linked with human resource development. If we are focusing on the capacity strengthening aspect, and similarly, if we are focusing on the organizational development or organizations strengthening, then OD and institutional strengthening, these are the two terms used. So basically, one is HRD is more with the human resource, the rest of the two, they are linked with the organization, institution, depending in which kind of areas we are building the organization's strength. So, for example, if you are focusing on internal processes, internal system structures, it will be linked with organizational development. If you are linking it with the outer look of the organization, whereby we are focusing on resource mobilization, networking, marketing, advocacy, so it will be linked with the institutional strengthening, because that's where we are building on our human resource investment, our organizational development efforts. We are expanding, we are enriching our footprint. So this is what holistically this capacity strengthening process, like evolves. And the need or capacity assessment, these are the ways. Then we develop capacity building toolkits or resources accordingly. We use different available online resources, and also we have a delivery or implementation and follow-up mechanism. And in terms of like learning methods and tools, depending who is our target audience for what purpose. So basically, for individual, for one-to-one, for group, organization, institutions, there are different like learning methods or techniques which we can apply. So like each of them has its own plus minus. So like at least we can discuss more, and what Rabindra and Anya were elaborating. So they were linking with this whole notions of three-tier process, whereby different techniques are used. Last, like with this knowledge skills attitude, like KSA model, again, like the learning methods are reflected. Again, for different purposes, we use different kind of learning methods and tools, so, and they help us accordingly. So this is something I know, like most of you have been applying it, but it was just for the reiteration purpose. At least we should, like revisit, reflect on these notions. So with that, what will be happening next? So sometime end of June, we will be sharing with you a survey, a quick survey on which topic we should run our next webinar series, because the initial four one, like the three we have previously conducted, today was the fourth one, and now we wanted to go on a thematic or more topic based webinar. So we will share a survey, and because in July some colleagues will be on leave or on holiday, so we will start our next webinar from August. So with that, thank you very much, and please do visit the CSN webpage, and explore it and see like how it can benefit your organization. Like Rabindra and Anya were presenting some example. And in case if you have any question, you can always approach us. We are there to support you. And if anyone is having any question, any comment for Anya or for Rabindra, please feel free to ask. We still have 13 minutes. to have some discussion. So floor is over. The floor is open for any question, answer, discussion, any pointer which is not clear.
Kari, thank you.
Okay, so I don't see any hand. I think like the job was well done by Anya and Ravindra, because both the presentation, they were quite good, enriching, and quite elaborated. And at least I liked the way they had explained, and they interlinked with CHS localization agenda, how it is practiced in reality in our day-to-day work. So with that, I would like to thank both the presenters and all of you for your participation and for your insight, and looking forward to your future engagement as well. Thank you. Yes, Janak, please go ahead. Okay, so I hope it was mistaken. Okay, thank you, colleague, for your participation, and we look forward for your next participation in August webinar.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you all.